Young and Ace has long been known in Jacksonville. We are consistently monitoring those groups. We have people that are always watching them. I won't speak to the chief's investigation. That's up to the TPD. We don't have an investigation on him right now, but he can't move around in Jacksonville without us knowing. And that's for the betterment of our community.
Bronx drill rapper K Flock appeared emotional as he listened to his own gang member testify against him. Reports state that K Flock allegedly used a firearm in 2020 against someone who had previously targeted his friend. That same friend, identified as Brockington, known as Dowg in the streets, not to be confused with Dowg B, K Flock's best friend, took the stand against him. Originally arrested on drug-related charges, Dowg accepted a plea deal in exchange for his testimony. Despite the betrayal, K Flock remained unfazed during a recent jail phone call.
Talk to them, Flock. Talk to them, my guy. Soon come home, man. You got these little boys walking around with no jewels, Flock. They need you. They need you, Flock.
However, Dowg's decision to testify against K Flock could impact his own release date. To fully understand the situation, reviewing the case file is essential. In court, prosecutors questioned Dowg about the incident, asking, "After you got hit, who called you in the hospital?" Dowg responded, "KK called." He said, "You know we got you, bro." Prosecutors then clarified that KK referred to K Flock, to which Dowg confirmed. He admitted that Flock intended to retaliate against those responsible for attacking him. The prosecution then pressed further, directly asking, "Did Flock hit them up in retaliation for you?" Dowg answered, "Yes," adding that someone was grazed during the altercation. The most critical point came when prosecutors asked if K Flock had been seen with a firearm. Dowg confirmed, stating that Flock was armed and on a call with rival gang members who were circling their block. This testimony aligns closely with the events surrounding Oscar Hernandez's passing, which led to K Flock's best friend, Bilavi, making a notable statement.
Okay, but so I saw some fans who were at both me and academics after K Flock got locked up just because I guess in our tone when we talked about it, it might have seemed like we were being a little too presumptuous. But is that weird for you? Because I'm sure you see people all the way from rappers to whoever acting like your boy is just done and he's cooked in the situation.
I ain't gonna lie, people, especially people that don't even be knowing, y'all don't even know what's going on.
Yeah.
He made this statement because the case files provide a detailed account of how the incident unfolded. But you tell me, do you think K Flock is guilty? According to court records on December 23, 2021, K Flock was charged in connection with the passing of Oscar Hernandez. Surveillance footage captured Flock walking down a city sidewalk with his sister that day. He was wearing a blue coat, a shy mask, and designer jeans. Just minutes before appearing on camera, Flock had reportedly been on Instagram Live, arguing with his rivals before putting his phone away. As Flock walked past a barbershop, Oscar Hernandez, who was inside, recognized him immediately. Hernandez rushed outside, confronting Flock and demanding, "What are you looking at?" Given their history, a heated argument broke out. However, since Flock was with his sister, he chose to avoid the conflict and continued walking. Despite this, Oscar escalated the situation by following him. He briefly hesitated, appearing to consider returning to the shop, but ultimately continued pursuing Flock. At one point, Oscar was seen reaching into his jacket pockets. Concerned for his safety and his sister's, Flock reacted by pulling a firearm from his own jacket and opening fire. He struck Oscar multiple times. As Oscar attempted to retreat into the barbershop, he collapsed onto the sidewalk. Once Flock stopped shooting, he fled the scene, leaving Oscar lying on the ground. Bystanders quickly called 911 and paramedics arrived to transport Oscar to a nearby New York hospital. Tragically, he did not survive. At the crime scene, investigators recovered shell casings and Oscar's slides, which he had been wearing at the time. Meanwhile, Bobby later shared his thoughts on K-Flock's situation.
What's it like for you watching the K-Flock thing happen? That's crazy. Next big artist coming out of New York.
I love Flock, so that's my guy.
Okay.
But I'm wishing him the best right now. You know what I'm saying? And for the alleged charges they putting on him, you know what I'm saying? I'm wishing his family the best. I'm wishing the whole team the best and everything. You know what I'm saying? And I hope he beat them alleged charges. Because he got a lot of future brightness. He got. I hope, you know what I'm saying.
That would be a sad story if that's the end of it.
We ain't gonna think like that. You know what I'm saying?
You gotta stay positive.
For the first 24 hours, the NYPD had no leads on who was responsible for the shooting or what had transpired. While they collected security footage from the crime scene, they struggled to identify the masked suspect. Desperate for answers, they reached out to the public for help in identifying the shooter. Unfortunately for K-Flock, his rising fame and social media presence worked against him. Fans quickly began analyzing the footage and noticed that Flock had been wearing the same designer outfit earlier that day on Instagram, complete with a matching mask and jacket. Once the connection was made, tips flooded in, leading authorities straight to him. With mounting evidence, law enforcement issued a warrant for Flock's arrest. However, before they could apprehend him, he hired a top-tier lawyer. In his final hours as a free man, Flock met with his attorney, and together they walked into the police station to surrender. As this unfolded, his lawyer released a statement. "Yesterday, I accompanied Kevin as he self-surrendered to detectives at the 30th Precinct. Arrangements were immediately made with the NYPD once I learned he was wanted. As for the charges against him, we have begun our investigation into these allegations. We will address bail once we have had the opportunity to review the case and further examine the DA's noteworthy disclosure." With the case now in motion, Flock's legal team was handed all the evidence federal authorities had compiled, officially beginning their work on his defense.
The guy hits the ground and is found. He's got a loaded that was in his pocket that his hand was on at the time. So we consider that to be self-defense.
So he did keep him in self-defense.
That's what the allegation is. I don't want to talk too much about the details of the case.
Okay.
The government claims that he pulled it. But at the same time, the person that was drowned had his hand on a illegal loaded.
Okay. So without saying too much, you're arguing obviously self-defense.
That could be one of the arguments, self-defense. And I would say to the public, somebody's walking up to you with a loaded, it's pretty clear he's going to use it, with a criminal record a mile long. Do you want to get or do you not want to?
Oh, absolutely. I wouldn't hesitate to pull it.
Shortly after the NYPD released their statement, they concluded that the incident stemmed from a long-standing rivalry between street crews. Investigators confirmed K-Flock's affiliation with the Bronx-based Third Side team and noted that he had been involved in street activity for years leading up to the shooting. As a prominent figure in the streets, Flock held significant influence, often making decisions that carried weight. However, this also made him a frequent target for retaliation from his rivals. Meanwhile, Flock's legal team began building a self-defense case. But just as they worked on his defense, things took a drastic turn. K-Flock was indicted by a federal grand jury on multiple racketeering conspiracy charges, commonly known as RICO charges. The news sent shockwaves through the hip-hop community. Content creators reacted immediately, knowing how severe a RICO case can be. One post read, "K-Flock just caught a RICO. It's over." DJ Academics also weighed in, stating the feds just unsealed an indictment on K-Flock for a RICO charge. The mandatory minimum, if he doesn't beat those charges or snitch, is life in prison. He's still facing state charges that have him locked up. Pray for him. This development echoed what Boozy once said about YNW Melly. "Once the feds get you, They'll do anything to keep you.
They want you. They want you. I knew they wanted them bad when they waited for that law to get passed. So it'd be 8-4.
Oh, right.
Yeah. They waited all the way till that law got passed to take him to trial.
Yeah, he was in jail for 2 years, 3 years?
Yeah. They could have been took him to trial.
You're right.
They waited till that law got passed and took him to trial a couple months later. When they want you, man. They don't see how he didn't get a bond after mystery.
Kay Flock's lawyer responded to the federal indictment with a statement saying, "We're not surprised by the federal charges, as we've been fighting Kevin's state charges for over a year now. Considering the incident was a clear act of self-defense, it was never a strong case. The fact that it's now being used as the basis for a federal charge is extraordinary." The video clearly shows Kevin attempting to walk away before being confronted. Only when it became apparent that he was about to be attacked did he use an item to defend himself and his sister from an armed individual reaching into his pocket. Despite the serious charges, there was a positive development for Kay Flock. Court reporters noted that after the first day of trial, prosecutors appeared unprepared, stuttering, struggling to answer the judge's questions, and failing to present strong evidence against Flock's self-defense claim. Observers also noticed that Flock looked emotional by the end of the trial day, which wasn't surprising given it was his first time in court. However, his legal team reassured him, with his lawyer whispering in his ear, "We're going to win this." Confident in their case, Flock's legal team even shared a message from him from jail, signaling his determination to fight the charges.
I have never going on, man. Flock, I know something you, man. Like, me to the guys, man. Hey, yo, like, I got real soon. Shout out to my fans and my supporters, man. I love all y'all, man. For all of you out there, the guys, man. For me, and do y'all support you, do, man. Like the rest of the world, like, get money. So, man, I see you real soon.
Did you know that the feds have been increasingly targeting rappers? Just last week, Lil Baby was called out by the Atlanta police, adding to the growing list of hip-hop artists facing legal scrutiny.
Was allowed to be a 13-year-old for 27 minutes before gang violence ultimately took his life. Gang violence was orchestrated by adults in our city, and cowardly acts of an Atlanta-based rapper that decided to go over into a rival gang stronghold and shoot a music video in a place that he knew he should not have been. And in the subsequent days, we saw and ultimately the deaths of 2 children as a result of his cowardly actions. And you know who you are. And I tell you that this team will work relentlessly to hold you and the persons that you are affiliated with responsible for those actions.
We even saw rapper Youngin Ace get name-dropped by the Jacksonville sheriff. Are we witnessing a systematic takedown of the rap industry by the feds?